Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I just got through doing the number 15 video about grouping and functionality recommended by Alpuyas. And so in this video, what we're going to talk about is instance matchmaking and kind of go over some information here. I really don't know exactly how I want to go through this yet. I'm going to kind of just wing it here, but I don't really want to join an instance because as being a tank, one of the really cool things about being a tank is I have no problem getting in. So in a nutshell, this is, you pull up you can do it pulled up here with the instance matchmaking available, or another option is if you do looking for group, there's an instance matchmaking, which tab pulls that up. And then also additionally, you can do the instance matchmaking right here. So you see here we got offense, we've got healing support, and defense. Well, as a tank, I'm going to show up as defense here. And then we've got basically what the goals are, which is to kill these two guys. And then this gives you the actual minimum or recommended item level here. You've got the ability to kind of select this, uncheck it, check it, check out. It gives you all the information as far as exactly what is required for this. So this kind of gives you a little bit better idea. You can refresh this if you have multiple instances or something. You can do that, uncheck, check that. Do if you're going to be willing to lead the party. One thing I really want to stress here as far as with leading parties is that I know that there's been, today I actually read some things about tanks as far as lancers removing berserkers. Me myself, I really don't have any ambitions to remove anybody or keep anybody from enjoying the game. I know how difficult it is to join instances. So one thing is I would recommend lancers as a whole. I understand that you want to try to get that plate mail, but to me, I enjoy having berserkers. So I would just recommend let's not do that. Let's let everybody have a chance. And at the end of the day, honestly, if it's a really good berserker and it's a plate mail and you don't have it, berserker should be kind of nice and give the lancer first dibs, I believe, but I'm not going to force it upon anybody. So another thing you can do if you're really worried about it is find a berserker that's in your guild and party up with them. Because when you do the partying, I guess, what happens is you can actually take your party with you if everybody's within the level range here. So with the Cultist Refuge, we're starting at level 35 here, which I think we can go up to 41, if I'm not mistaken. If that's wrong, let me know and comment it, and we'll update it. But anyway, so one of the things you can just get your party in. Now, what I like to do is I've actually got a few of my friends. We do basically, I have like a healer friend and I have a DPS friend. What that generally will do for me as a tank is I like to lead my own parties because I am the tank. With my friends, not a big deal, but when we go into an instance, the reason that we like to do that is that that will allow me more than I've never been able to go. I've always gone into an instance if I have two other people with me. I always end up being the leader of the group. Now, what that allows you to do is when you actually go into an instance, is it allows you to actually kick players before they jump into the instance or the dungeon. You can actually kick them immediately as the leader. So that's probably what a lot of people are complaining about as far as with the kicking of berserkers for plate mail. Or if once they do get into instance, then what you do is you have to get an actual vote from everybody. Everybody has to vote. All four members, other three members beside yourself, have to actually vote to eliminate that person from the party. And the feature is there, unfortunately, but it is there for a reason. And the reason that it is there is if you get into a bad group and one person is, from a tank perspective, if somebody's pulling the entire room, then what that does is that's causing a lot of heartache on the tank as far as to ensure the survivability of everybody, doing the challenging shouts. The healer's got to overdo everything. So it makes things a lot more difficult. So when you have those type of things, I personally recommend let's talk to that person and say, hey, don't pull the room, let me lead as the tank, let me pull. If they do it a second time, then what I'll do is, generally either let them die or ask everybody to kick them, because I don't think it's right that they're trying to stifle or make the runs a little bit harder when they do stupid things like that. So make sure that you communicate when you go in these instances. When you go into, with leading that party, you can, like I said, refresh, you can find the group. When you find the group, what that'll do is, from a tank perspective, it's actually pretty funny because as soon as I hit the button, I'm entering. That's generally because there's only one. The Lancer's the only person that could go in as a defensive player. Right now, Warriors are not allowed to. They're actually going in as DPS. Right now, I think that the hardest instance matchmaking is for our damage dealers. Now, the damage dealers, there's 5 different types of damage dealers. You've got the warrior, the sorcerer, the slayer, the berserker, and the archer. And then you have mystics and healers who are the healers, and so they still have to wait a little bit because there's multiple healers, but there's only one tank class. So I kind of see everybody's gripe about that 100%. I think that is something that definitely needs to be worked on. So what you would do is find this group, you would jump into the instance, it would automatically teleport you in there. So as soon as that comes up, enter now, you've got 300 seconds to basically get in there. So make sure you hit enter now. Go ahead and introduce yourself to your team, try to make sure that you're trying to get some sort of discussions out of the way, make sure everybody's comfortable with everything. As the leader, make sure you set the loot options. Nothing is more aggravating than having to roll every single minute, or maybe not having it set up for class to find items and things like that. Make sure those are set up, because that's what's fair for everybody. So if you do become the leader, try to take that responsibility seriously. And one thing to remember, if you leave the party or disband it, I know for sure when you leave, I'm not 100% on the disband, but when you do that, you actually are automatically put on a 15-minute cooldown. And that goes on top of the fact that when you do the instance matchmaking, you have a 30-minute cooldown. So basically what that means is 30-minute cooldown means that when you leave that dungeon, that timer actually starts when you enter the dungeon. And so by the time you finish it, you actually hit this P button here and go to instances. This will actually show you like what you're set to as far as your cooldown. So once that cooldown is done, then you'll be able to enter the dungeon. But if you leave a party, then what happens is you'll actually get like a nice little icon up here next to your vitality or your stamina deal, and that will actually say, quitter or something like that. And so you have to you have to wait 15 minutes from the time you left. So if you leave, the first 5 minutes, no big deal, because you have like 25 minutes anyways. But if you leave like toward the end and that 30 minutes is up on your cooldown, then you're going to be stuck for an additional 15 minutes. So make sure you figure out probably within the next first 15 minutes, find out if that's really what you want to do as far as with a team. If it's not, do what you need to do and leave if you want to. And then secondly, remember that when you do the instance matchmaking, it's a 30-minute cooldown. If you do a find group and you go in with a bunch of friends, then it's actually an hour cooldown. So I think Amase is trying to push that whole community thing, instance matchmaking. Now the other thing to keep in mind is the instance matchmaking will actually put you in a party with everybody else from all the other servers. So if you're on a PvP server, it'll only pull from PvP servers. If you're on the PvE servers, it'll only pull from the PvE servers. So right now there's only 4 PvP servers, which is probably why a lot of times there's a bunch of issues with trying to get those teams together very quickly. So anyways, I know this has kind of gone long. I wanted to get a couple things in there, but I might throw in a couple extra little videos here later down the road as far as like whenever me and my wife actually do some instance matchmaking and kind of show how it throws you in there real quick, and probably a pin to the end of this. But if I don't append to the end of this, then I hope you guys have actually learned about the instance matchmaking a little bit. And if you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, by all means, go ahead and leave it on the YouTube channel, or let's go ahead and add it to the Tera 101 guide on the newcomer section. You guys have a great day and happy hunting.